Matt Riddle claims Brock Lesnar forced his Royal Rumble win. Plus, WWE and AEW hire key backstage names. And some top WWE stars are pushing for a WrestleMania match. It is all in the Cultaholic wrestling news right now. Rumble season well and truly upon us. You going to come and join myself, Sam Driver, Fraser Porter, Matthew Gregg, and flipping Typhoon, aka Fred Ottman, at Box Park in Wembley for our Rumble watch party? I hope so. It's going to be a nice time.
I'll be working up here. Fine. Have a good one, though. Have a good one, guys.
We will raise one in your honour when we're there.
I hope it's a lovely time.
We'll have a lovely time. Tickets, you can find out more at HO Wrestling on Twitter. Come and join us. Speaking of the Rumble, let's go back to 2022, the one that Brock Lesnar came in number 30 or 29 and won the whole flipping thing. Mm-hmm. Wasn't meant to be, according to Matt Riddle.
It was your least favourite Rumble of all time, I remember distinctly.
It was a miserable Rumble.
You hated it. It was
made me very unhappy.
The one with Shane McMahon and Randy Orton and everything.
It actually ruined the year for me.
Yes, Matt Riddle was speaking during a virtual signing on Facebook. I think it's called Signed by Superstars that he was talking to. And he talked about how he was apparently meant to win that Royal Rumble match, but then one superstar had other plans. He said, I was told at one point I was going to win the Rumble. And then what was it? Bobby Lashley beat Brock Lesnar because someone came in and hit him with the belt or what have you. And earlier on the night, he means. Then Brock came in, didn't want to do business with everyone, said he was winning the Royal Rumble, and then he won. None of the producers, nobody stood up to him. They let him do it. I didn't stand up to him either. Fair enough.
That was a very fraught Rumble. It was the one that led to Shane McMahon being persona non grata for a while from WWE. It was really badly booked, really horribly structured. I wouldn't be shocked if Brock Lesnar just went, I'm winning this, and everyone, whatever, we're not bothered.
I was wondering how much of a pinch of salt to take Riddle's comments with here, because yes, from his point of view, he may have been told, hey, you might be winning this Royal Rumble, but I feel like lots of wrestlers would look at that and remember times that they'd been told they were winning a match and then plans change. Plans always change in wrestling. So how many prospective winners of that Rumble did they have? On the other hand, as you say, little hiccup, could there have been such a mess backstage that maybe Lesnar did just pull rank and go, you know what, I'm winning this thing, let's do it. It could well have happened.
How good as Cultaholic wasn't there?
Yes, absolutely.
He's one for going, what do you want to do for creative? How about I beat everyone and win all the belts?
Yes.
Now, Dave Meltzer has commented on these claims from Matt Riddle, and he says, I never heard that one before. It doesn't really make sense for him to win the Rumble because then he would have had to be in the main event at Mania, and they were never pushing him at that level.
Yeah, Lesnar went on to face Roman, didn't he, in that
I'm sure there was a Rumble where there was some speculation that Matt Riddle was winning.
Maybe it was that one, because he was doing well. Would this have been when he was heating up or when everyone was getting sick of him? No, this would have been when he was doing all right. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I remember a Rumble as well where there was, I don't know if he was like the favourite, but there was definitely like, they could have Riddle win.
He was a forerunner in it at the very least.
Right, yeah, I think I remember that as well. Yeah, Dave.
Well, with Matt Riddle's word, maybe against Brock Lesnar's, who Brock Lesnar obviously hasn't spoken on it.
Oh, right.
Check out on our channel right now the 10 most shocking Royal Rumble eliminations. There's been some belters over the years, so we count down 10 of them.
I couldn't believe it.
Victor Meldrew that time.
I don't believe it.
I don't believe it. To AEW we go, where a backstage hire, formerly of WWE, has been made.
Yes, Fightful Select reporting that several within AEW have been notified that Kosha Irby will be joining the company, possibly in a COO role. Irby is a former regional director of live events for WWE. He's also worked with the Memphis Express of the AAF as president, Clemson Tigers University as executive senior associate AD and chief marketing officer, and has also done work with Georgia State, the University of South Florida, and St. Louis as well. This hiring is quite significant, though, Tom, because it comes at a time of change for AEW.
Yeah, QT Marshall, Raphael Morphy, Dana Macy, all big names backstage that you won't see on TV day to day, with the exception of QT Marshall, who have been doing some big things behind the company. They've all gone, and it seems that there's a reshuffle on the horizon for AEW behind the scenes. Same in WWE, where there's been another A new name brought in. In a press release issued yesterday, WWE announced that former ESPN Senior Vice President Lee Fitting has joined WWE as head of media and production. This replaces the Kevin Dunn role.
Yes.
So we understand. He spent nearly 3 decades at Fitting working for ESPN. He's overseen like Monday Night Football, College Game Day, numerous playoffs. So he's got chops in this world. And obviously, with the wake of Dunn's departure, this is a bit of fresh blood into something that Kevin Dunn has dominated for 20, 30 years previously.
It'll be really interesting to see what the changes are and how immediately apparent or not they are on screen as well. It could be interesting to see how the presentation of the product changes. Nick Khan's spoken about this as well and said that Lee is a phenomenal leader and executive known for work that generates both critical acclaim and mass appeal. He'll be a tremendous addition to our stellar media and production team and play a key role in helping catapult WWE's growth.
Good luck to all involved working behind the scenes as 2024 starts in a very intriguing way. Meanwhile, in the world of New Japan Pro Wrestling, we heard from Tetsuya Naito for the first time since he won the IWGP. Is it that way around?
I don't know.
It's that way.
Yeah, just normal way, I think.
That one there. It's like eyelashes. Naito spoke at a press conference as the IWGP champion, and he seems to have hinted that another new belt is on the way.
Very soon after the last redesign. Yes, he said, when this belt was made, I was against it right up until the very end, which makes a lot of sense because he is synonymous with the IWGP IC title and had recently won that heavyweight one, and then that kind of, the two were merged, but it also ended the legacies of both. So it makes a lot of sense that Naito would say this. This could well be in character, maybe. He said, I never had any good thoughts about this title before, but now I have it. It's quite complicated. Maybe I have a little more attachment to this belt than I did before the Tokyo Dome, but just a little. Perhaps the more I hold it, the more attached I'll become, and if not, then I guess I'll just toss it. I mean, if you break belts around here, they just give you new ones, right? Which they did with him and the IC title. What with a different name. Seems there's a precedent. You could also be referring to David Finlay, who smashed up Ospreay and Moxley's belts with a hammer, and then there was a new belt created, the Global Championship as well.
But Naito generally has a history of just mistreating titles. Do you remember when he was the IWGP Intercontinental title?
Oh, 100%.
Just throwing the belt around.
But it worked so well with his character, and actually, in a weird way, helped him in the long run become a more beloved babyface when he started to respect the belt more, or started to admit, I quite like that belt actually. It was good. It was really good.
So maybe he'll bring back just the knackered old one, like Old Faithful.
I would love that. He is set to defend that title, I believe. The big one, the World Heavyweight Championship, against Sonata in a rematch from Wrestle Kingdom. We'll have to see what happens from there.
Maybe a new belt afterwards.
Another one.
Another.
I can't believe.
Another one.
I still can't believe that a few years ago they ended the legacy of that IWGP Heavyweight Championship, because I believe before the main events they do a big countdown on the Tron of count up of all the history of the champions and all the reigns and everything. And I think they were getting on towards 100 reigns combined, and then they just ended the belt. What were they thinking?
At least get to 100.
Yeah, definitely.
Nice round number, maybe.
Yeah.
That'd be nice, wouldn't it? Over on AEW Rampage, Jeff Jarrett and his mates had a big old fallout the other day in a faction that doesn't have a name. Now, they didn't punt out for a name, I admit, but I suggested one, which was Total Non-Stop Arseholes.
That was very mean.
I think it's fitting. Jeff Jarrett, Jay Lethal, Sanjay Dutt, Satnam Singh, Karen Jarrett, and the gang. It's Total Non-Stop Arseholes. Jeff Jarrett has commented on this potential new name for his gang, his clubhouse, and he says, Tom, with all due respect to Cultaholic, you're an idiot. So I don't think he rules it out.
No, but don't do this, Tom. You're gonna end up biting off more than you can chew here. They're all bigger than us, and they've all got bigger muscles as well.
I just think that Total Non-Stop Arseholes is a good name, but Jeff is apparently
saying it.
Jeff's okay. That's fair. Jeff's very annoyed with it. If you could do me a favor today and not tweet at real Jeff Jarrett Total Non-Stop Arseholes, if you could avoid doing that today, I'd appreciate it. Thank you. So don't tweet at real Jeff Jarrett Total Non-Stop Arseholes. It'll really make him angry.
Tom,
I'm saying not
don't
to.
prod the bear. Don't prod the chosen one.
I'm not. It's the noise he makes when I'm just saying don't. Just don't do that. Cheers. Now we'll end on some WrestleMania news. PW Insider's Dave Shearer talking about a potential match from Mania.
Yes, he was asked about an Uso derby, Jimmy Uso versus Jey Uso.
derby.
Yeah,
Lovely.
Jimmy versus Jey, and was asked if that was still a match that was wanted for WrestleMania 40, and he replied, "I know that Jimmy and Jey want it to happen, but if they're going to do it this year, they have to heat Jey up, or they could just wait and do it next year. I think they also have to heat Jimmy up as well. He's taken all the pinfalls for the Bloodline. Jey." On this week's Raw especially, felt like he was noticeably now, even though he's called main event Jey Uso and has been presented as a main eventer for a long time, he's now comfortably below Punk, Rollins, Drew, like the main event. They're all talking about fighting each other at WrestleMania or winning the Royal Rumble. Jey in a backstage promo went, "My New Year's resolution is to win a singles title in 2024. And it made me, I get it, but it made me think he's on a slightly lower level. One way to heat up both him and Jimmy would obviously be the Uso derby.
The Uso derby. I like calling it because Jimmy is a massive club. Jimmy,
Tom, let's not do this now.
So
no, I'm on Team Jarrett. I'm Team Jarrett now.
Don't tweet him. But so Jimmy and Jey are both still very keen to have a Mania showdown. I kind of thought that's where they were going to go anyway.
Yeah.
And the whole moving them onto different rosters was just to have a little bit of cooling between the two. They kind of have sort of found their own horizons almost. So they have to do something. Maybe all it will take really, and I said this in the news podcast this morning, all it will take will be a little showdown in the Rumble.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just
that would
reignite the fire once again.
They could even be 1 and 2, like Demolition. Wow.
Oh, could you imagine?
That would be great.
And they're right at the end. They wouldn't win it, but they'd be Final Four.
Oh, right, yeah.
Final
That'll
Jimmy,
be cool.
Jimmy and Jey start. Final Four is Jimmy, Jey, and
Punk and
Drew
Cody.
and Cody.
Oh, the Final Five.
Oh, nice. Hey, look, speaking of the podcast
And LA
feed,
Knight as well. Throw him in.
there's a lot of Final
There's
Fours.
quite a lot of people. Oh, no, he's in the title match. Never mind.
On the podcast feed today, Aidan Gibbons, our Cultaholic.com tribal editor-in-chief, and Fraser Porter look back on the month of December, a little bit later than we expected, but they reflect on the final month of 2023 in the month in review. That's waiting for you. It'll be later today on the podcast feed.
Check that out. And you've literally just reminded me there by saying it. The matches of the month for December, which also got delayed because of the busy period, will also be out at some point in the near future. I'm about to record it tomorrow, I believe. So, and thank you to Tom for all the editing he does on that. And I'm sorry it's taken so long.
It's fine. He'll let you off.
I feel like a snowed under journalist, and you're like, where are the pictures of the Spider-Man?
Bring me Spider-Man. Tiny bit of podcast admin to let you know about. If you enjoy the 10-minute Cultaholic Wrestling News audio podcasts on a morning, they are moving to their own separate podcast feed. You can search now Cultaholic Wrestling News on all your podcast providers, and there is a separate feed for those 10-minute news podcasts if you want that as a separate thing. All the other podcasts are staying exactly where they are, but for the 10-minute news burst on a morning, wake up and go, oh, what's happening in the wrestling news? You can ask Alexa to play Cultaholic Wrestling News, and then you get 10 minutes of wrestling news all up in your ears from us. So search that, subscribe to that. I'd be grateful. Thank you. Are you twitching tonight?
I am twitching tonight with Owen Mawson at 6 p.m. UK time. We are still in control of South Shields FC up the Mariners, and it's going all right. We've righted the ship slightly.
Join them for a lark at Mariners Park, twitch.tv/Cultaholic. And for the latest wrestling news throughout the day, check out cultaholic.com. Stay safe. Love you. Bye.